everybody, it's Lisa. Thank you for joining me today. Today I kind of have a different purpose of the video. I had a couple of subbies, both coincidentally from Canada. Hello to those of you to the north. They both asked questions specific to the Jingle Bells Christmas journal that I had the YouTube video on, and it's also available in my Etsy. But the first question that came across was, how did I do this page with the different envelopes? So I thought that I would just quick pop on and show you how I did this, and then I'm going to answer the other question as well. So I'm just going to slide this up a little bit. What I first did, I used the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. If you don't have this, that's totally okay. You can just cut squares and make the envelope yourself. Totally fine to do that. But if you do have an envelope punch board, I'll show you how to use that. If I get it right, I'll admit sometimes I struggle with the punch board a little bit. But we'll do it that way. Then I'll show you too how you can make an envelope not using a punch board. And there's a variety of ways. Some people have stencils. There's all kinds of ways. The first thing that you do with a punch board is you determine what size that you want your envelope to be. So this first piece of card is 5 by 5 to make a gift card size envelope. So you want to set the edge of your paper here then at the 2-inch mark here, and then punch and score. Whoop. Punch and score. And you know me, be careful when you're scoring that you are not pushing through the paper like I usually do. Now here's where I used to goof up all the time. When you spin this around 90 degrees, you don't line this up again at the number 2. What you do is you find your score mark and you line that up with this little pointer piece, I guess, that sticks out here. And then you punch again, score, and then you do the same thing. You line your score mark up with the little arrow. The only time that you will pay attention to your measuring mark is when you make that first punch. Punch and score. And what I like to do when I do this is I like to try to use coordinating papers that would go together and look kind of cute together. I prefer that versus, oh no, did I? Yeah, did. Talking and crafting. Okay, so this is the first one. Now this seems off to me, but we'll take a look at that. Let's go ahead and do the next one right away. So this next one I made 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, which will make a 3 by 3.5 size card. And then I need to find the mark over here that is 2 5/8. Oh my gosh, I can't see. That's so hard to see when the light glares off of it, but this is the mark right here. So you're going to punch, you're going to score, spin, lining the little pokey arrow up at your score line, punch, score, spin it around, line it up with the pokey line. That's what I call it. Punch, score, whoops. Spin it around, line it up again, punch, and score. That's that one. This next one I had, the paper size is 6 by 6. So I want this one to also be at 2 5/8. Huh. Punch and score. And then I'll show you what we do with all of them. I tend to do the last part all at the same time. You don't have to do it that way, but this is just how I do it. Punch and score. We've had a rainy day here in Wisconsin today, but I think we need it. So can't complain. Can tell fall is in the air because the deer are running around like crazy. They're everywhere right now. We have a large deer population where we live, and oh my goodness. Got to really watch at night where you're driving. Okay, so now we've got all of the punch and scores done. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. And then you want to take all your corners, and this area right here does what they call a reverse punch. It just rounds the corner. It's just a corner rounder is all it is. So you could do it this way. You could use a regular corner rounder punch if you wanted to do that. Oh, this one did it a little weird. There we go. And then I just do them all at the same time. I just find that that's a more efficient way of doing it. Okay, got all our corners rounded. I'm going to take all our little pieces, get rid of those. Set this to the side. Now, here's where you can kind of decide what direction you want your envelopes to go. So I know that this one I want as a coin envelope. I probably scored it backwards. I never remember hills or valleys, valleys or hills. I think I did it backwards. Where's my, here it is. And I don't know, I never seem to find the way that I like it best. I think I like it that way best. And then this little guy would be your flap. So then, well, let's wait and make sure I know what direction I want everything before I glue it. So right now I'm thinking this guy will be my vertical envelope. That's just how he's feeling to me. And I'm feeling that this guy wants to be horizontal. There that is. And here's its, here's its little flap. I did do it backwards. So word to the wise, I think you're supposed to have your paper print side or the side you want down as you're punching and scoring. I don't know why I struggle with that. I pulled these pieces of paper out and I was like, why am I not using these? They were in a storage slot that I just don't venture into. But then when I pulled them out, the prints, the floral prints are so cute. I'm missing out. Okay, so that's this one. The question becomes, how do I want that? So let's figure that out right now. So granted, a large part of the deciding factor for you will be how big is your page and what's the space you have to work with. So let's just say that this is my page, which this is kind of a big page. This is right now just a barely over 6 inches, 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. That doesn't even make sense, does it? I guess it does. But that's kind of big for what we typically use for journals. So there's this one. There's this guy. So we could have both of these set horizontally, and what you could do is to tuck this guy in like this, so you access it that way. So that's one option. Then you could use these as tucks, or pockets, however you wanted. The way that I did that one, first I had a smaller envelope down there, but I went like this. That's how that one is. So you can play around with it and set them however you like it visually on the page. Now on this one, I just have some little pieces of Tim Holtz Christmas ephemera from the Christmas ephemera packs. It's fun to use coordinating papers to go inside for the cards. So what I did here is I used the opposite paper inside for the card. See, and then this, you probably can't even see this. What am I thinking? So sorry. Here's the ephemera pieces. Here's the coordinating papers in the pockets. And then the one with the candy cane envelope, I did the brick journaling card inside. So just to give it a little change of pace. But it just makes for a fun page where you've got little tucks and things. And then you can, the way I left it is if the person who got the journal wanted space to put things in behind the envelopes, they can. Okay, so that's that idea. Now let's quickly just go over how you could make an envelope just using paper, cardstock, whatever. I'm just gonna even this up a little bit and clean it up. Ugh, you know how I feel about this cutter. If I don't hold that down, it does not cut a straight line. Okay, get these out of the way. So if I'm going to make this just a little smaller for demonstration purposes. Let's go like this. Oh, I did it again. Okay, so we want this as an envelope. What you could do is to go like this, and like this, and like this. Now this is just a demonstration piece of paper. It's not necessarily the exact size you would want. You can go like that and do something along those lines, and then what you would need to do though is where you have your folds here, where your folds meet. So here, I tend to then take a little corner off, just so it looks a little nicer. And then up here, you can cut this at an angle before that line there, and this line here at the top, cut an angle there. Let me show you what happens then when I do the same thing on the opposite side. See, there's the fold, and I just barely cut it at an angle. Same here. So that when we fold this over, you don't have all that gobbledygook. You can do the same down at the bottom, depending upon how thick the paper is. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Let's square this one up a little bit. So how wide are we? We're at 3.5. Let's do 3 I almost did it again, you guys. 3.5 here. This is going to be a tiny little envelope. So when your envelopes are a square, what you can do then is to fold in here, fold in here, fold up here, so it'll look like the ones that we did with the We Are Memory Keepers board. We just don't have the board. But you always have to make sure, I think, for it to look good, it's best if your envelopes are square. It can be done otherwise. I didn't fold that quite evenly. Or I didn't cut it evenly, one or the other. Oop, sorry, little buddy. So you get the gist of it. I didn't fold this one evenly. That was the story. So there's different ways you can do it. My point being that you certainly do not have to go running out to get equipment, supplies that you don't have. You can do this page without a punch board, an envelope punch board. Totally doable. I didn't have an envelope punch board when I first started, and that's what I did. Okay, the other question that I had was, with a book like the Little Golden Book, when you take the cover off the book, the way Little Golden Books are made, the pages are stapled into the cover. So when you take it apart, you are left with all these individual pieces of the book pages. And what do you do then? So what I do is I make what I call, there's probably a real name for it, is I make what I call a page extender. So on here you can see that I made a page extender. Let me find another page for you. See here, you can see that there's been a little piece added on there that holds this book page along with its companion to keep the story in order on the opposite side. Here's that side extender, and that extender is what the signature is sewn through in, is what the page is sewn through in the signature. Gosh, I hope that made sense. Let's show you how to do that. It's super easy. Sometimes I think the harder part is keeping your pages in order. I'm just cutting this down so they're two separate pages and you can see what I mean. And I'm just working with some scraps here. This is just some book pages in my scrapbook, or my scrap bin. So here's my pages that I want to have together. And this is how it would turn in the journal. So what you want to do is do this. This is how I do it. You want to do this way and on the other side. I just grab this scrap so you can see what I'm doing easily. So what did this measure now? Now just, what am I? I'm 8 3/4. I'm not going to be able to measure it with this. Hold on, I'm going to cut this on my big cutter and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is at 8 3/4. Normally I would have this a little thinner so it's not so evident on the page. I'm going to cut just another sliver off here. So, but I'm keeping it large just so, again, you can see easily what I'm doing. And you can make it as thick or as narrow as need be. Now, I'm using cardstock here, and if you were doing this with cardstock, which you can, normally, well, depends on what I'm working with, I guess. But I oftentimes will use coffee dyed paper. If you wanted it to stand out a little bit more, you could use coordinating colored papers, you know, whatever. I bend this so that I can see where the middle is, and also it just makes it helpful when you're getting things ready to sew in. So what you want to do here is you're going to put it on here so that there's a little space between the edge of your folded extender and the edge of your book page. So what we will do is then glue it. For doing this, I just happen to like using the art glitter glue because you've got that nice fine tip and you're not globbing things up everywhere. Okay, so I've got that. Whoa. And then, hold on here, 5, 6, this is 7. See, this is why I always get confused. 7, this is the front, and this goes like this. Yeah, Lisa. Okay. See, I've got it right up to the edge of that, almost, but giving just, maybe like 1/8 of an inch, or maybe even 1/16, just barely. Okay, see? And then there's my extender. Again, obviously, this is just a demonstration. Ordinarily, I would cut that a little shorter so that it's not interfering with what you want to see on the book page. And then the way that this will go on here is like this. You can do this to the back, you can do this to the front. It all depends on what you do or don't want to see. In the little golden book ones, I do it on the back. I'll show you. I'll do this one in the back and you'll see how the other one is in the front. So if you're doing it on the back, so you can't see it quite as much, it just depends where you have your book pages turned. I feel like I'm sliding around on here. Or you could do it on both sides if you wanted to. It's one of the wonderful things about junk journaling is that there's no rules. It's all based on your personal preference. So this is page 5, this is 6. So here, I'm just going to tip that up a little bit so I can see better. I still want a little bit of space, but just a little skosh. Because you want the page to be able to turn without interference. So here's how it looks to the back. When it's to the back, give you a comparison here. When it's to the back like I did in the little golden book, you see it on the front page, but then on the opposite side I don't see it. And then on its companion page, you see it here. That's another page in the signature. Well, it's the other side of this to keep the story in line is back here in the signature, right here. So you see the back of that, but on the inside you don't see it. This is just another page, same thing. Here is its mate. You see it on the front side, but not the back side. Okay, so you figure out as you're working with your book how you want it to look, here's another important part, where you're going to place your pages in the book. So if the story pages in the journal will be at the center of the signature, which is not what I did here, then you might want to do a coordinating paper to see it, or you want to pay attention to how are you putting it on the back, because you're going to see that little seam where it ends and where there's something else back there. You will see that if it's in the center of the signature. So give that some thought. If it's in the center of the signature, my personal preference, but again, that's just me. You do you. I would do a coordinating piece of paper, cut it thin, and run it down so it looks very intentional. I didn't use the book pages for the story as centers of the signature in this Christmas book, so I didn't have to worry about that. So that's another thing, I guess, if you don't have to worry about it, choose something else for the center of your signature. All right, so that is how I did that, you guys. I hope, ladies, that this was helpful to you. You know, give it a try, play around with it a little bit. Some of these things can be trial and error, but use your scraps to play around with it first so you can figure out how you would want to do that and have a go at it. And I wish you the best of luck in your crafting. Make some wonderful Christmas journals. I'd love to see them. And join me again at Junk Journal Gems. If you like what you're seeing, please click thumbs up. Please comment. I love hearing from you. And feel welcome to subscribe. Our number of subscribers is growing, and it is such a joy. I am meeting the most delightful people, and I so appreciate every one of you. I hope you have a great day. Thanks again.